All right.
Okay.
Now our introduction for part 2.
Part 2.
So that was our Fuck Yeah This Week music leading off part 2. Which I guess, well, you got to think about this. We're doing a part 2. And if you're not familiar, this is, technically it's a part 3. If you think, it's part 2 to the second part of a 2-part. It's very confusing.
It's very Tolstoy of us.
But yeah, you're jumping into more Disney versus Pixar. And really, should we do additional segments for this, or?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess so. Our part 1 had word of the day, and it had high on knowledge, and it had an extended discussion. So this will also have an extended discussion continuing. Mm-hmm. Just technically, like, recorded someone in the past, but then we're gonna jump in, and we're gonna have a new segment, and then I guess we can do a second segment if you want to. No. Do you want to do Mundane Fundane?
Let's.
We totally don't have
to. Not really.
Let's put that one on the shelf.
Let's you had an idea for a new segment.
Yeah.
So let's
we're gonna jump into that conversation and have fun. Here you go. Listen to this.
Here's our conversation.
Come on and gather round and come on and gather round and come on and gather round. It's time to fuck yeah this week.
Yes. All right. Let's move into our fourth one. Mine is Beauty and the Beast. The 1991 version, for the record.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
WALL-E.
Oh, shit, son!
Oh, God, this is going to be really tough for me.
Damn!
I don't even know. Both those movies are probably my top 5.
God damn! Well, you started last time. I'll start with what I like about WALL-E. I will say this. My mom, when she took, like, my little sister to see it, like, came out and was like, oh, WALL-E was awful. Like, the social commentary was so over all the kids' heads. And I'm like, so? Like, who cares? It's still, at the end of the day, it's still a love story. It's still, a robot that's been alone who, likes watching Hello Dolly, and then he runs into this white robot who, is charming and sweet, and he ends up, chasing after her, and that's the story. The whole obesity thing on the space thing is pollution is bad is like the backdrop, and that's what I like about movies that can have a background message or a background set of circumstances. Like I really want to like come up with an analogous example, but I'm not thinking of any right now. But ones that do that, like it's like, oh, it's a love story, or it's a journey story, or it's an adventure story, or it's a heist, anything like that has like some kind of.
I'm sorry, I just realized how crooked that mic is compared to where you're sitting.
Well, I mean, that's why we usually have it.
That'll be a little bit better.
Okay. So yeah, I think WALL-E does that amazingly well. Villain's great. Hal, but with a funnier voice and even more terrifying. And I like the social commentary. I like how dark it is at times and how bleak it is for the world at large. And I love the Hello Dolly interjections.
Yeah.
Put on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there. So great. It's just a love story in space and on Earth, and it has an interesting social commentary in the background, and that's what I have to say about it.
Beauty and the Beast
La Belle et la Bête
is my favorite Disney movie. I love it. It has, at some points in my life, been my favorite movie of all time. It is so good. There are 2-3 moments that are stupid, and that's it. They're the only things I could possibly knock.
Do tell.
And they're so small. Well, I'll talk about it when I'm supposed to knock it.
Okay, yeah.
But it's hard to describe in a way that's not just, that was really good, that was really good, that was really good. But it was just it was such a compelling story. If I want to break down it, there were a lot of innovative things technically for Disney. The fact that the beautiful, handsome man was actually the villain was a big deal. And the fact that the ugly beast was the object of affection was really interesting. Don't fucking even bring up Stockholm Syndrome, fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's also like, it's not...
Shut up!
It's not a thing, guys. It's not...
It's a thing, but it's not relevant in this movie.
Yeah, it's not.
It really isn't. It's also, I hate, it's a fucking movie, but... also, it's so much better than the live-action version. The live-action version was horse shit. I hated it. I hated it so much. Probably because I love the 1991 one so much.
Oh, but Drew, you clearly hate all the acting that went into it.
I hate everything.
Are you saying you hate Emma Watson? Shame on you, Drew.
Absolutely. No, no, I'm sure there are some things about it that worked, but oh my god, that was a dumpster fire to me compared to the 1991 version. 1991 version wasn't even we mentioned before on this podcast, they had to recycle animation just to make the budget work. There were animation errors here and there, but it didn't matter because it was... that's almost what was inspiring me, is that it was such a great movie and that it had a slashed budget. It really had trouble getting off the ground, but it did.
Like what did they bet their money on? Was the Rescuers Down Under, or did they put it all on Aladdin? Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of what they did to Pocahontas in The Lion King.
Honestly, I think it was just a time crunch where, they got too far along and they were running out of money. The music is amazing, though. It's really, really good. And the story is very compelling. I love all the characters. I think it's really imaginative. And every scene is so interesting to me. The whole story... Frozen felt that way, too. And the kids that I see hate Frozen. I'm like, you don't get it. Frozen's amazing. And because it's hilarious. You assume, kids must all love Frozen. No, they hate it because it's oversaturated. They hate it more than the parents do.
That's so funny. I mean, they liked it. They liked it enough. Like, I have cousins, they really like Frozen.
Yeah, I'm sure a
lot of people like Frozen. Adults like Frozen too. It is oversaturated. It's interesting to see that oversaturation effect.
They probably liked it
their
at first.
demographic.
I feel like Frozen 2 might not do that great because kids now hate it. Which I'm going to be first in line to see it. Because I loved Frozen, and I will probably love Frozen too. But
don't forget Olaf's Holiday Adventure.
Oh, probably. It's when they're playing that?
In front of Coco, right?
Yeah. Which is so odd to me. It should be a TV series. Because it's 21 minutes.
Yeah.
They're going to have a 21-minute movie.
How long
before
is Coco? Like,
at least 90.
Must be 80 or something like that.
No Pixar movie has been that short, but it'll be like 90 minutes at least. So it's going to be a long time in the theater.
Strap in!
I know. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to love it. It's going to be amazing. But, what was I even talking about? Beauty and the Beast, right. It's just, the music is great. The story beats are great. Everything about it just comes together in such a great way. And I love the theme. I love the way everything builds into each other. Some parts of it feel a little bit clunky, but it's a fairy tale when it comes down to it. And I feel the really same way about it in a certain sense that I do about Fantasia, where Fantasia, you're thinking, well, it's not the smartest movie ever made. You can't necessarily call it clever and ingenious. Like, wow, those are amazing ideas. But it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And it's almost that lack of thinking too hard about things that makes it a really immersive experience. Because they just have a magic mirror and go, yeah, you can see things with that. That's how that works. It's stupid, really. It's just like, fuck it, there's a magic mirror. Why the fuck not? I love being able to do that with movies. And again, kids...
But a magic book, ooh, that's too far.
It was. No, listen, I didn't care that a magic book existed. Its purpose was fucking stupid as shit. But we're not talking about that movie. That's the thing, kids will get to a certain age, they'll watch that movie, and, I was like this too, and they'll go, That's stupid. What is there a magic mirror? But they don't get it. It's the point is you're not supposed to be thinking that critically. You need a different set of critical faculties. I'm not saying that it's immune to criticism because it's obviously not. But you got to think about it in a different way. You know what I mean? It's like how you process sketch comedy differently than a Holocaust drama. It's just the way it goes. So
Point taken.
It's a wonderful movie. I wish if I had more time, I could really get into it. And one of these days I will.
Sure.
Now's not the time. Because I'm sure we're already almost at an hour.
We are well over an hour.
Are you really?
Yeah, we're at like an hour 10. Or, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Hour 1. I got the numbers mixed up.
Okay.
We're just over an hour. Okay. Things I don't like about WALL-E. As much as I like the social commentary, it's kind of heavy-handed. Just a little bit.
I agree. A little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
I mean...
It's exaggerated, definitely.
Definitely exaggerated, for like, you get it? They're fat because they're fat.
And I think I understand a lot of the time with the Pixar process and just in general storytelling for kids. A lot of things that I wish were more subtle. Mm-hmm. I think the Pixar artists want to make it more subtle, but they go, we want this to be able to reach kids. And like it or not, kids aren't going to get certain things unless they're a little more explained. So I think some things have to not be as subtle.
I think so.
And WALL-E was very complicated movie. So it's like in Inside Out, certain things were really, really blunt, and it sort of bothered me. But I went, well, kids, this is a very nuanced movie. Kids need to know what's going on. Like in Inside Out, they had a narrator, and I remember Pete Docter hated that idea.
They got rid of that idea.
No, it was in it. Joy, if you remember in the beginning, Joy narrated initially.
Yes.
And he totally wanted to avoid that because it's such a cliche. It's a weak storytelling. But ultimately, they went, you know what? This is a really complicated idea, and we need to make sure that all ages are going to be able to understand it. And ultimately, he wound up coming around to it, one, because it was necessary, but two, he went, well, it makes sense because it's a voice inside your head. Mm-hmm. That's literally what a narrator is. So, if ever it was appropriate to have a narrator, it's Inside Out. What was I talking about?
WALL-E.
So, yeah, I think that's why the business was a little... I remember talking to someone who didn't like WALL-E because it was so anti-business. And I think it's less anti-business.
Is it the person I'm thinking of?
No, you.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's less that it's anti-business and more that it needs to push things a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But go on.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of story, like it is a love story. I think it airs on a bit of the simplistic side because if I haven't seen it in like end to end in a while, but as I recall, is like while he's on Earth. Eve comes down, they meet, they're charming. Eve is recalled after WALL-E shows her the plant. Mm-hmm. He goes up, he gets into, a bunch of wacky shenanigans on board the ship, tries to find her. Plant winds up in the hands of the captain. Hal doesn't let him do what he wants to do. There's a big fight, and then they end up going back to Earth, and then we're going down to the ground.
That was a good song.
There's no better place. Is that Peter Gabriel?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's it. So
you're right.
Not much happens, but
a little more simplistic than
charm.
Other Pixar movies, but I wouldn't call it a problem. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's nice. That moment of silence. I
was gonna say.
I clearly had a face like I was about to say something. I'm like, never mind.
Yeah. What else can I really criticize about WALL-E? It was weird seeing like live action mixed with animation. I refer less to Hello Dolly and more to CEO of not Walmart.
It was a very interesting reason for it, and it'll totally make sense when you hear it. Mm-hmm. Is that Andrew Stanton went, well, because Hello Dolly was live action, we felt that there was a precedent that, every time that something's on a video screen, it should be in live action. Mm-hmm. because I think it would be even more jarring if Hello Dolly was the only thing in live action, and then everything else was animated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was weird to me too, but then when it was explained to me, I went, actually, that, it does make sense.
Were the pictures of previous ship captains, those were animated though, right?
They were. It was an interesting trick, because that was a really complicated sequence to do, where they had to kind of like bridge the gap between live action and animation. So they made it hyper real and then gradually look more animated, which that had to be insanely hard to pull off. But I think they did.
So was it like sort of contemporary rotoscoping, or
I don't know. They never explained how they did it exactly. I just, as a casual viewer, I admire how they did it.
Gosh, you picked 2 Andrew Stanton movies in a row. How about that?
I didn't even think about that, actually.
Interesting. But you're a Doctor guy, aren't you?
I like Stan a lot, too, but Doctor's my guy. Yeah.
He's your doctor.
He's my doctor. Good old Pete.
Pete, if you're listening, we love you. We think your work is amazing. But
Doug Walker, if you're listening... We keep harkening back to the first episode.
So I think that's the first time we've brought that joke back. But anyway, I don't really have much to say else about WALL-E, unfortunately. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I enjoy it. Try to criticize Beauty and the Beast, though. Why don't you?
The music in WALL-E was beautiful too. I think that's a really underrated part.
Forgot about the score. Score's definitely something.
When they're dancing in space.
In space, that's the best sequence.
It brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful. The whole it's amazing. Like WALL-E, I didn't love at first, but the more I saw it, the more I realized, wow. And even, I think Time Magazine was ranking the top animated movies ever, and WALL-E was like number 2. I'm like, yeah.
After
Pinocchio, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Which I haven't seen in a while.
Spoilers, Pinocchio's not my number 5.
Your nose is getting bigger.
Oh no.
Beauty and the Beast. There were certain moments that were a little silly. I think when they were trying to make the Beast look beautiful, like, hey Beast, how do you think that look is? And
like they're grooming him and
curls
stuff?
and pigtails and stuff. He went, I look stupid.
And it was like, boom. No, he's like, you look so smash cut stupid. I laughed at that, actually, but
it was fine. I don't think it totally fit in with the movie, though. It was a little, and there were certain other elements that were a little too cartoony. I think during the fight scene.
Oh yeah,
that moment where the guy went to the cabinet and came out cross-dressed and was like, yeah! And of course, they tried to market that shit as an amazing, memorable, important societal moment in the live-action movie. I'm like,
it's like,
fuck you.
It's like, hey, cross-dressing is okay.
It was bullshit from the first headline I saw. Like, this is horse shit. And it was. It 100% was. Like, there's absolutely no way Disney is pulling off anything magnificent here.
Nope.
They don't got the balls. I mean, they had lesbians on their Disney Channel show. That was
Finding Dory had the balls.
Pretty important.
Yeah, and Good Luck Charlie did.
Finding Dory
had the lesbian parents at the Bay Aquarium.
I would barely.
Don't you remember?
Yes,
Don't you remember? Those obviously lesbian parents.
They were lesbians, but it was such a small moment. It's not going to make an impact on anyone unless they're reading an article. Like that, I would put that in the exact same category as Disney.
Yeah.
Or Beauty and the Beast live action. There are other things that were a little bit weird. The fact LeFou looked much more cartoonish than Gaston. In terms of character design, that was a little bit off.
Yeah.
One part that I think this bothers me the most, this always pissed me off, is when LeFou is playing the band after the wedding proposal goes wrong in the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And Gaston's pissed off and shoves the trumpet onto LeFou's head, and then his lips come out
of
the valve. I'm like, that's not fucking possible. I'm like, it took me out of the movie entirely.
Yeah, it is.
That is too weird.
It's pretty grounded, all things considered.
And to have that happen, to me, that was way worse than the Gargoyles and Hunchback.
Yeah.
That was unforgivable almost. I'm like, you almost just ruined the entire movie with that one stupid joke. You couldn't have just restrained yourselves. And then, of course, there are other things like Gaston telling LeFou, "Don't leave this spot until I come back." And the seasons literally changed, and the animators went, "Well, is LeFou waiting there the whole time?" And they went, "Yeah." So they next time they show LeFou, there's a snowman, and then he shakes it off, and he's like, "Oh, here I am." Like, you were waiting here for 6 months? Who brought you food? There's certain things I can let go, like a magic mirror, but at some point you just start asking too many questions. It was occasionally sloppy. It's probably the worst I can say about it. People knock Belle for not being the most developed character, but I wouldn't even agree with that, really.
Does she have an arc?
A little.
The Beast has an arc.
The Beast has more of an arc, but I think Belle definitely...
How has she changed is my question.
She learns to love him, basically.
She learns to love him, but I almost feel deep down like she always did.
Yeah, it's probably more the Beast's story, if you had to point fingers. Mm-hmm. But really, it's Belle's arc that shaped the entire story. The girl needed to be able to love the Beast. So I think saying she didn't have an arc doesn't make sense, because her arc is literally what... The flower represented Belle's entire arc. Well, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Other occasional moments that didn't make sense. Like... there was one point where there was a picture of... I don't remember. There's like an error. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it was, but it was an error, definitely, for real.
Like a frame of animation, or like a portrait?
Oh, you know what I think? I think that in the narration, they said that he was turned into a beast when he was 12 or something, but there was a portrait of him when he was clearly a young adult, like an older man. I think that's the error I'm thinking of.
I heard, if I remember from the stained glass windows in the opening, it was like the narrator woman said like he was 21 and was turned into a beast. Like he was a young man.
I definitely don't remember that part as well. There must be more than this. Provincial life. Provincial is probably too big a word. Could have picked a better word. I mean, it's a good word. It's not our word of the day.
Nope.
I think it's just a little too much. Mm-hmm. Also, I remember one time I was at Disney World, and it was an obscure part of Disney World, like a spot between monorails, basically. And they play instrumental versions of Disney songs there. Mm-hmm. And I remember the opening song, Belle, complicated a little bit in terms of chords compared to other Disney songs. And whoever did the instrumentals for it totally fucked up. Like da 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 da. They totally fucked it. I'm like, this sounds horrible.
What did it sound like?
Was
this like a score, like an over?
It was instrumental stuff. And I'm sure I might be the only person in the world that noticed, but it was just clearly they wanted to keep it in the same key. But all of those had all sorts of sharps and flats and stuff like that. So they probably did do 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 I'm like, that sounds awful.
So like they naturalized all the sharps and flats or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way I could. I mean, it's a distant memory, but I was very disappointed in that.
We know this is in D, but what if it was in C? Just for the sake of things.
But Beauty and the Beast, still an amazing movie. Mm-hmm. It really is.
So...
that's right, we're done.
Point...
It's tough. I feel in my heart of hearts I would have to go with WALL-E. I think...
You think so?
Because I love Beauty and the Beast, I really, really do. I think WALL-E was probably the more meaningful movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd say so.
Like, they're...
The story's more simplistic.
This is Sophie's choice right here, man.
Yeah. Oh, God damn. Call Meryl Streep. Let's say WALL-E for the sake of argument, just so we can go to 5.
It's a tough one. It really is, but I think WALL-E in the same way Fantasia won, I feel WALL-E just went a little bit more beyond than Beauty and the Beast did.
So we're all tied up. Bet the farm in this fifth one. My fifth film from the Walt Disney main studio canon is The Emperor's New Groove.
Toy Story.
Okay. See how this goes.
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Toy Story. First movie I ever saw in the cinema, to the best of my knowledge. It changed the face of animation. Changed the face. It is to be commended as much as Beauty and the Beast, while Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture, which is definitely impressive and no small feat. Toy Story was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. Neither won, because reasons, but writing for an animated film, never mind the picture overall, is, I think, quite impressive.
That was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it got a nomination for writing that was more important to me than the fact that it was the first CGI picture.
And that was before the original adapted screenplay split happened, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if an animated movie ever got a writing nomination before.
Oh, no. That was the first one.
That to me was a really important step. But go on.
Just rambling off things that come to mind, like the theme that's been present in Toy Story that we talk about, like, outliving your usefulness and stuff like that. Like that's all there. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen couldn't have been picked better leads. I shudder to think what Billy Crystal would have sounded like as Buzz Lightyear had he gone with it. But I think he's a better Mike Wazowski overall.
Well, the story behind Buzz Lightyear is originally they wanted Buzz Lightyear to really sound like a superhero, like, I'll save the day!
Yeah.
And they brought Tim Allen in. You know the story?
I think so, and Tim Allen's more
Tim Allen
serious.
did a reading, and it sounded so wrong to everyone at Pixar, because Tim Allen was doing it like a cop, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, lead.
Yeah. He talks like Dick Tracy.
But they realized... that's it. That's the Buzz Lightyear voice. That's what we need. I think it really worked.
I think it works too. It works so much. I haven't seen it end to end in a while, but a lot of the comedy, which is Buzz being ignorant as to surroundings, like, I need another bonding strip, and then the robot's like, Mr. Lightyear wants more tape. It's like, where's that bonding strip? I was like, you mean the tape? It's so funny. They have so much fun with it. It's it's such a creative concept. What if toys came to life? And then what are things like in their worlds? What do they value? What do they see themselves doing? In terms of purpose? It never gets that existential, but it doesn't have to. Action scenes are great. Some parts are real dark, like in Sid's house, where it's warped and musty. Others are, bright and colorful, like Andy's room. And just knowing the early 90s technology they had to work with versus what they have now. You and I both watched the making of television special that they aired in 95.
The story of Pixar?
No, not the story of Pixar.
Oh, that stuff slapped to the VHS.
Yeah. CBS, back when they were syndicating Disney programming, I guess, before they bought ABC, had this television spot on the making of Pixar. That stuck with me ever since I first saw it. Just all the man hours and the needing 6 months to work on Andy's hair. I'm like, wow, this is a mammoth task. And I'll say this much: it's my mom's favorite animated film.
Wow.
I don't know if she appreciates it for the same reasons that maybe you or I appreciate it, but I'm sure it gels with a lot of people in the same way. I'm just thinking Arlie Ermy as Sarge Like, hey, you got the guy from Full Metal Jacket and Mail Call to be the army guy. Good for you. What else? This is a great movie overall. Can't knock it. Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove is a really interesting one because have you heard of the documentary The Black Box?
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Basically, have you heard that The Emperor's New Groove was supposed to be a completely different movie?
Yes, that I have.
Kingdom
heard.
of the Sun. It was supposed to be this really grand musical. Basically, they had Sting doing the music for it.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend was having a documentary kick. I assume she's some sort of hipster, and requested, "Can I document this entire experience?" And Disney allowed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have rare footage of watching this grand idea for a movie completely devolve. And when I say devolve, I don't mean that The Emperor's New Groove is a bad movie, because I actually think it's a wonderful movie. But I think what it was supposed to be would have been really fascinating. Like, I wish I could have seen it. One, it was more of a musical. Two, like, it was much more related to its environment. Mm-hmm. Like, they had this like a Mayan statue head or something like that. Yep. Like a tiki head is the best way I could say.
Cusco's palace thing, right?
Yeah, it was just a little short guy. I'm like, that's such a great idea for a classic Disney sidekick character. I would have loved to see that come to life. And it didn't. Owen Wilson used to be in it. That's a weird fact. Before pre-Lightning McQueen.
Was he going to be the Thing or Cusco?
He was going to be the twin. Because Cusco had someone that looked just like him.
Oh, okay.
Was,
were they going for Prince the Pauper?
Kind of, yeah. But apparently it went really deep. There's actually one song that Sting wrote for it. Basically, Sting wrote a lot of great music for it. And a lot of it was just scrapped. Basically, everything was scrapped. Mm-hmm. And Sting, as part of a contractual thing, is like, listen, all right, fine. You fucked up the movie, sure. You gotta let me on at least the Emperor's New Groove soundtrack release a couple of these songs. And he did. So I imagine anyone having no context would be so confused. Like, why does this soundtrack just have these characters singing for some reason? Like, Yzma has a song that's actually really good. And you're just thinking, she never sang that? What the hell is this?
Do they record those?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't listened to the soundtrack.
Yeah, Yzma isn't even I think they're all technically demos, but with Yzma, it's actually the voice actress, and she's great.
Eartha Kitt sings?
Eartha Kitt sings,
nice.
And she's amazing at it. The song I really like is One Day She'll Love Me. It's just a really unique Disney song, and it feels like Sting. It does feel like a Sting song. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't see why it couldn't be a Disney song. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Disney's about being bold and pushing things. So I'm like, why not? I'm sorry, I'm just getting wanderlust over what could have been here. But The Emperor's New Groove, despite going through drastic, hilarious changes that were all documented, and I only saw it because I did some less than legal things to acquire this very, very underground movie. But, you know, I think it's an important movie.
So, Sting's girlfriend, she released this documentary, or at least it exists in like a principal photography thing.
It's all cobbled together.
Mm-hmm.
Disney let them air it for 1 week at a film festival, and then it never saw the light of day again. And apparently it's a Disney-approved version that leaked. Because I think in the original version, you saw footage of Disney executives getting angry and yelling at people and stuff like that. And I wish that I could have seen that.
Man,
I like to think
see Michael Eisner cussing someone out.
One of those things that maybe it'll leak at some point.
Yeah.
You cross your fingers. Because that, you know, I know it's unpleasant, and I know in terms of corporate interest, it's a horrible idea. But that stuff, in such a strange way, is so important and inspiring to see. You know what I mean? Just to see how it really works. Again, all that aside, though, it's a really funny movie, and I think it was really unique for Disney because Disney didn't really do buddy comedies. Really, that was
they didn't do like straight comedies.
It's really interesting you picked that, and I picked Toy Story because Pixar at the time sort of etched themselves out of the Disney realm by doing a buddy comedy. And that's what made Toy Story so interesting, is that Disney doesn't do buddy comedies like this. And The Emperor's New Groove was really the first time that they delved into that. And I think a lot of people maybe unconsciously were thinking, wow, this feels like a Pixar movie. Because it felt very subversive.
Remind me of the history of Toy Story, because Pixar was its own animation studio. It's making things in the late 80s, early 90s. They approached Disney as a distributor.
Yeah, they had a rocky past with Disney, but they really wanted to make a feature film, and they were going all over the place. And eventually, they came back to Disney and went, can we make this work? And Disney was like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So that's generally how it worked out. But yeah, Emperor's Groove, I find it really, really funny. I think the characters are great. I don't think it's a terribly emotional thing. I don't really care about Kuzco's arc at all.
When it gets emotional, I'm like, I guess.
You don't care. I don't care that Poncho's losing his house. Whatever. But it's funny. It's fun, and it's important to have some heart in there, even if it's not something that you feel. I think it's important for the movie to have breathing room.
Yeah.
Basically, instead of feeling emotions, you're just going, ha, 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 so you can laugh again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
David Spade, best role, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think so for David Spade.
He was really good in his cameo in Jack and Jill, but I think he's a little bit better in The Emperor's New Groove.
And every other Adam Sandler movie to date. Yeah. John Goodman, Patrick Warburton, Eartha Kitt.
They were
others.
Amazing cast. Probably one of the best casts in a Disney movie, honestly. He was really memorable. It really, really was. I love it. The ending is so fun and comical to me. I love the stupid trampoline joke. We didn't order this giant trampoline. It was really fun, and it was refreshing to see Disney do something really different. Again, it stemmed from what could have been. That's the thing, is that Disney musicals, like in the traditional fairy tale, a lot of people just lump it together and say, it's just the same old Disney, but they don't give Disney enough credit, because they really don't just make the same movie. Every fairy tale that they tell really feels distinct and unique. Again, maybe the ones in the 40s blend into each other a little bit, but when they started doing it in the 90s, I think these movies really felt distinct from each other. I really think they did, and I think Kingdom of the Sun could have been another great example of that. But Emperor's New Groove, undeniably, stylistically, really changed the game up. And I think there's a lot of respect to be paid for that. As odd a history as it had, I think that it's still a very worthwhile movie.
Bad things about Toy Story. Humans look kind of creepy.
Yeah, they didn't figure out humans.
I mean, but it ends like, can I really knock it for that? Can I really not knock it for that? I don't know. The technology limitations, stuff like that.
Humans were tough. You've seen Tin Toy. You know that it can be much worse.
Yeah, it could be. Oh, God, Tin Toy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, but I mean, they look better in Jerry's Game, even. But I mean, he's an old guy, so I guess he's supposed to look decrepit.
I'm pretty sure Jerry's Game came after Toy Story.
It did. That was the Bug's Life short.
Yeah, so they had time, presumably, to develop it.
Yeah. Bad things about Toy Story. God damn it.
Because Bug's Life didn't come out until 98, so they had 3 years between Toy Story and Jerry's Game.
Hum. How do you knock
I can help you.
one of the best reviewed movies on Rotten Tomatoes of all time?
I think it was a little too creepy at some points. I think the way that the toys were
Attack Sid.
not that was horrifying, yes. And think about it, that was a major part of the big climax, is basically just a horror movie. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
It really was. It was a little bit weird. Like, if you really think about it, like, they're scarring this kid for life.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
When the mud covered soldiers come out of the woodwork, like one has got a nail in his head and the other's missing a head.
And
like that was creepy.
It's an appropriate end for Sid's arc.
Certainly.
But it makes you question, if Sid was a good idea in the first place. Because I remember they cut a scene out of Toy Story for being too violent. Because it was just Sid torturing these toys. I'm thinking, well, did you ever start to consider maybe the whole arc of Sid is just too terrifying? The way that he's just changing toys, giving a doll a pterodactyl head, it's just terrifying to me. It's just...
Yeah, like how do the toys feel?
And they don't talk. It's, I think, the creepiest thing.
Yeah.
It feels like they're being stripped of their personality. Yeah. Every other toy talks.
Yeah.
So it's really too scary, I would almost say. Buzz Lightyear losing an arm is also just a really weird thing. Like, they didn't explain enough that losing an appendage is a normal thing. So you're just thinking, like, oh,
but then we get into Toy Story 2 and, like, Woody loses his arm and it's like...
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a big deal.
They do it so much better in Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
They, like, play up that, oh, my, this is a terrible thing. You know what I mean? Where in Toy Story, it's just like, he lost his arm.
Buzz, can you lend me a hand?
Yeah, it's basically just a joke. Woody's obviously a bit of a dick.
Like, yeah.
And it's a little bit hard to like him. You understand where he's coming from, but still, like, he takes things too far. He really does.
He really does. Like, he likes being on top and in charge. He likes getting off to being played with by Andy.
It was a big problem because, I mean, he was way worse in the original treatment.
Yeah.
In the original treatment that almost canceled Toy Story and ruined Pixar, Woody was embarrassingly horrible. But he was just even...
I mean, we won't judge the movie on the basis of its treatment, but...
Even more of a dick to the toys. He's like, I'm the boss, you gotta listen to me. It's hard to say, because I didn't memorize the treatment, but it was even worse, if you can believe it. And I don't think they quite fixed it. I mean, they definitely improved it, clearly, but there's still elements of Woody being... He's going too far, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, when they're at Sid's... He's clearly interested in himself and himself alone, not caring about Buzz's safety or whatever. Buzz is clearly going through an existential crisis. And Woody's like, yeah, you're a toy. Like, let's move on. Let's move on. Come on. And it's like, dude, think of what he's going through. And with the whole arm thing, I'm trying to remember what happens after the arm scene. As the rain falls, the toys walk away. Then Sid straps the rocket to Buzz, and Woody gets imprisoned in the egg carton, and he's like, Buzz, I need your help. And that's like Woody's change, you know? Is like he grows to like Buzz, not when he sees Buzz is in pain or hurting, but because Buzz is a means to an end. So Immanuel Kant might have a field day with Woody in that respect.
Anyway, it's interesting because I definitely think, at first Woody is trying to get Buzz to be a means to an end. But I think it becomes a real moment because I think for the first time Woody just he has nowhere to go. He's trapped and he's forced just to realize how torn apart Buzz is. And it's really interesting visually because basically he's a prisoner until he can face this head on, and it sort of forces him into a change, which is always the strongest character arc. Again, I would put Woody in the same category as Marlin. Is not the most developed character arc, but there's something.
Great performance, maybe not. Maybe not the most
amazing.
Developed.
The toys. I love all the toy characters, but the whole second half of the movie, they all just hate Woody. It's basically their role is basically "fuck you, Woody." Like,
and then they changed their mind.
I think Toy Story 2 is really when you got to see those characters at their apex.
Oh yeah, like when they leave to like go to Al's apartment, like that's one of my favorite.
Toy Story 3, they felt very reduced.
They did.
I mean, Michael Arndt wrote it, and I just feel there are moments where they felt too much of a caricature. I remember in the plastic bag, they're trying to poke through it, and Ham says something like, "This is 2-ply polyester." Like, it basically describes the exact make of the plastic bag. And I go, that's too much. I mean, Ham's an intellect, but he's not that heavy-handed in intellect. And there are a lot of moments like that.
Yeah.
And hilariously, I would argue Toy Story 3 was way more violent than Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
I think Toy Story was... You know what? Toy Story 3 might have been scarier. Toy Story 3... No.
No.
See, because Toy Story 3 introduced death, which is horrifying.
Toy Story 3 has death.
But it didn't introduce,
it doesn't
you've
have,
lost your soul
yeah.
and your being. Now you just walk a shell of what you once were.
Yep.
Like, that, to me, is way more
Why
horrifying
is my
than death.
head a pterodactyl?
Yeah, exactly. That's way scarier to me.
Yeah.
Living with horror is like a notch above death. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you think about it, like that's where Toy Story 4 can go. Like just push the horror part. Just Woody and Buzz have their heaads switched. Oh jeez. No, I don't want that to happen. Please no. I hate that I put that in my.
You listening, Mr. Lassiter? Are you listening? Make it happen.
Otherwise, though, yeah, it was really unique. It was a really unique movie.
Thank you for your assistance.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You want to knock Emperor's New Groove and bring this on home?
It was really, really funny. It succeeded at that, and
it is kind of.
I don't have many
goofy.
problems with that. It just that's about all it was.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot of fun, and I don't think that's an issue. I don't think it's an issue that it's just a comedy. Mm-hmm. And I really, really liked it for that. But I think when comparing it to a movie like Toy Story, I just don't think it delivers as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird because I don't think there's really anything to knock about The Emperor's New Groove compared to Toy Story. But I think Toy Story, despite some perceived flaws, still probably stands above The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's not really a criticism with the movie, but I wish I could have seen what it could have been. Because that would have been amazing. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a huge compliment, the fact that after everything I went through, it still turned out to be such a memorable movie that a lot of people clearly adore.
Yep.
So. Yeah.
Point Pixar?
I think so.
Pixar wins.
I am surprised.
I'm surprised too.
I didn't think that would happen.
Me neither.
I think the pivotal moment was putting WALL-E against Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, to think about it, it could have gone a different way if the cards had been played a little bit differently.
If I picked maybe... I don't know. If I had just picked Home on the Range, things would have gone differently.
I will say, of all the Pixar movies I picked, only WALL-E is among my favorite Pixar movies.
Huh.
I like all of them, I really do, but...
Oh yeah, I'm surprised you didn't pick Up for anything.
I didn't pick Up, I didn't pick Inside Out. I didn't pick Monsters Incorporated, which I love. I didn't pick Cars 2, the best Pixar movie of all time. I was halfway tempted to pick just a horrible movie as a
throwaway. Like we could do a which one is worse. I could pick like Saludos Amigos and The Black Cauldron. You could pick Cars 1 through 3.
Yeah, there's still a handful of Disney movies I haven't seen yet, like Make Mine Music.
Oh, Make My Music and Melody Time are just Fantasia, but with catchier songs. No, just catchier songs with words. Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope the wait was worth it.
How long are we at right now?
We're at almost hour and 3/4.
An hour, almost 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Should we split this into 2 parts?
We could. It's up to you.
I think we probably should at this point.
Okay.
So right now we are going to record an introduction to part 2. And well, actually, why don't we record?
What? I thought you meant split this into 2 parts.
We will, but we don't want it to just end abruptly. Uh-huh. So right now we're gonna record an ending to part 1 that we're just gonna edit in, and then we're gonna record an introduction to part 2 that we're gonna edit in. Mm-hmm. And now this part right here is gonna be the awkward part where we cut between where we ended our conversation when we started recording introductions.
You're just
and
making things more
endings.
difficult for yourself.
Oh, I am, but it's necessary, man. So now this is real time, technically. I mean, this is all recorded 2 weeks in advance, really.
Yeah.
But real time as it gets, and we're gonna jump into a segment or two.
Yeah.
I vote that we do another round of spontaneous jokes, just to pad this out.
Spontaneous jokes.
Spontaneous
All right,
jokes.
Let's pad it out.
All right, go for it, Brandon.
Fuck. Shit. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Drew.
Drew who?
Drew's friend gets upset because his Alzheimer's has really regressed into a very poor state. Where he can't even remember his friend.
Okay.
I went for the anti-joke. Oh well.
Knock knock.
Who's that?
Drew.
Drew who?
Just kidding. My name's Argo. We harken back so much to episode 1 for some reason. No Snorks references, but it's all episode 1.
Yep.
All right.
Let's finish out.
Yeah, let's finish out. So this is a new segment that I call Mystery Message. So the way it's going to work is that one of us is going to be listening to music so we can't possibly hear the other, and the other is going to leave a message into the microphone. Now, the music that the person is listening to is going to be through headphones, so you guys as an audience aren't going to hear it. But we're both going to leave each other messages, and then we will only hear what the messages are when this podcast is live. So this is going to be new information for us.
Yep.
So, Brandon, you give me a thumbs up when you are playing music.
And I'll look away so I can't read your lips or whatever.
Yeah, and use honor system. Make sure you can't actually hear me.
Yeah. I should probably pick something loud.
Should play the trailer to the new Jumanji movie over and over again. All right, let me kill time.
There we go.
Oh, you got one?
Wait a second.
Okay.
Okay.
I no longer have to
I can't hear what
perform
you're
a
saying.
murder on time.
Just go for it.
Okay.
Just say what you want.
So, Brandon, I just wanted to say that the time we spent together forming a band was some of the most amazing stuff in my entire life. Really, the way that you played those drums and the way that I played those drums and the way that Kelsey and Jennifer played those drums was so cool. Can you hear me?
This is long.
Oh, he can't hear me. So it was great because it was the first all drum band, and all we were doing is just playing drums all the livelong day. And everyone hated us. And I remember when Kelsey and Jennifer killed themselves. And that was a real bummer. Totally unrelated to the drumming. They both just had severe depression, which is no joke. And then it just made us feel bad because when we were drumming, we were just thinking, oh man, depression. So we stopped playing the drums. And I kind of wish that we were still playing the drums, but I remember that people hated us. And I'm like, well, that was no good. So now you just listen to your shitty music, and I just dream of drums. And that's how it is. And remember, never to skip your Zoloft dose. And Brandon, I feel like you're gonna hate you're gonna hate how taboo this has been. But you know, that's just what happens when you go wild and form a band when you're in preschool. Best years of my life. Those Fisher-Price drum sets. It was so sad. Jennifer and Kelsey were 3 years old when they killed themselves. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh no, what am I saying? Alright.
What the fuck is he saying?
We're good. We're good.
What the fuck? Usually,
Alright, give me those
it
headphones.
just takes me to make you laugh.
Jesse's girl.
Cool, could you hear it?
Yeah, I could.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm sure it's important. Make sure the music's loud. So let me find a good one. Pompeii, sure. Oh, I can't hear you at all. This is so loud.
Okay. So, Drew, my message for you is, hey, you let out a really big fart there, and I wanted to say excuse me, but I wasn't sure when to say excuse me, so I'll just say, excuse me. You make a mean drink, motherfucker. I'm just watching his head bob at this point. Yeah, he's really enjoying the song. It's nice when he has the headphones on. Because he has really long hair and he pushes it back, kind of. So it does look kind of on the girly side at this point. The beard doesn't make it look so girly, though. He's just bobbing his head. It's like, yep, this is a good song. Yep. Do. That's enough of that. Let's go.
I like this one. They're your headphones, sir.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, a fun fact is that Brandon wears the headphones in this podcast, and I can't hear the sound quality, so I'm not allowed to monitor it.
Yeah. Maybe we should change that. Fuck it.
So now no one's wearing the headphones.
No, I'm not putting the headphones back on.
So we really had a bit of an adventure here, finally tackling Disney Pixar.
Yep. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. I know if you're watching this in a row, go get laid, do something. Don't stop.
Get laid to this podcast. I want the mystery messages to be the soundtrack of you having an amazing honeymoon experience. This is specifically only for people that are on their honeymoon, okay?
No, tell her that you love her. And spread that coconut oil all around.
Coconut oil gets rid of stretch marks. It'll be good practice for her inevitable pregnancy.
Maybe she doesn't want a child, Drew. Have you ever heard of a woman's right to choose?
Well, I got a turkey baster filled with semen that says something else. Oh God! Listen, I like to think that was a consensual turkey baster in that joke.
Consensual turkey baster.
A consensual, like
we will assume,
all parties agreed about that turkey baster.
We will assume it was a consensual turkey baster
filled with turkey semen.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have to kill Drew.
Oh my God!